If you've ever wondered the difference between good and great camping,
Here are my top 20 tips that I've learned in 33 years of camping, glamping, even doing Naked and Afraid twice. These tips are gonna save you time and money, but more importantly, they're gonna help you have more fun and be more confident outdoors.
first things first, always put your boots or shoes upside down outside your tent to prevent critters and rain from getting inside. And if you're wearing boots like these, you can put them inside of each other to create a seal and make a cute little shoe umbrella that keeps them dry. Adorable. When you're going into your tent, I highly recommend you go arms and butt first. I see so many people go in with their feet first and then not get to shake them out and track in all that dirt. Speaking of your tent, I always like to cover the stakes with a rock or log so I don't trip on them in the middle of the night when I go out to pee. Always choose your pee path for the middle of the night beforehand, because
One time in the middle of the night, I went out to go pee and then I stubbed my toe and it ruined my whole trip. But more on that later.
it's also important you always have a ground tarp. I like an extra small one like that to put your shoes on, and most tents will have this built in. This is a super cheap Coleman camping tent. And you can also see this nicer big Agnes tent has, well, actually you can't see it, but it's what's called a footprint. It's a separate piece that looks like this right underneath. And if you don't have one, watch tip number 10. But for now,
Stop and smell the flowers. Those ones don't actually smell, but it's about using your senses. Use your nose, your eyes, your ears to make sure there's nothing harmful in your campsite environment. For example, dead branches overhead that could fall on you. From your sides, any wind tunnels, any poison ivy, maybe even some animal activity or trails or scat, and most importantly, from below. A lot of people will clear their campground, but they don't check for things like ant holes or snake holes where things can come up and get you in the night. And by the way, did you know you can eat this? Check it out.
which reminds me of one of my favorite tips. Stop and smell the flowers, taste the berries, feel the breeze, enjoy those sweet little nature moments that make life worth living.
Oh wow, that's actually so good.
Pack less clothing than you think you need. Oftentimes, I really only need a daytime set of clothes and a nighttime set of clothes, except for my wool socks. Wool socks and things I'll cover in a later tip are essential even if you think you're not going to be using them that much. Oh, and while we're here, I highly recommend packing tubes. On the other side of the spectrum, food. Always bring extra.
That is unless you are a survivalist or forager like moi, but even I always bring extra food, and I'll tell you about containers in a second. But I always bring a little extra food and electrolytes. And this is not a sponsor, but it is absolutely like the best backup food. I mean, one serving is 400 calories and basically 25% of all your macros and vitamins for the day. It was invented, I think, by Silicon Valley bros who just didn't know how to do self-care and eat and work at the same time. But as a survivalist and as somebody who goes backpacking, this is like very, very highly recommended. So actually doesn't taste that bad either. Speaking of which, did you know you can eat this? You can totally eat this. It tastes like a plant. No, it tastes like very lemony.
Speaking of taste, bring yourself something special that's gonna warm your heart and your belly by the campfire.
And in case it's not obvious, the only thing that smells that should be in your tent is you. Because part of the fun of camping is smelling stinky like a campfire, which I actually think is a great smell. Let me know in the comments if you also love smelling like campfire. Don't bring food in your tent. Any food. When I'm in bear country, I don't even bring toothpaste or anything scented in my tent. You would be surprised what kind of tiny bugs and big roaming creatures can smell everything in your tent. The only thing that smells that should be in your tent is you.
And you also need a contractor bag or some kind of tough trash bag. This can sub as a ground tarp if you don't have one. It's obviously also a very good trash bag. It can be a makeshift shelter. You can use it for so many different things. And I always have one of these with me, whether I'm camping or backpacking. To be honest, you could probably even carry water with it.
But for now, we need this. Oops, I knocked the camera over.
I don't know if you guys know this, but you actually cannot survive without water. This collapsible bag is my favorite because it packs down, but you can also get a 5-gallon cube or something more substantial. It makes all the difference in the world.
And I only wet my pants a little bit.
And make sure you have something to purify that water with, like my favorite filter in the description below, or some iodine tabs.
Hold on, it's starting to rain. Speaking of which, always bring a rain layer. Even if it's not gonna be raining, the wind could come. Even if the forecast doesn't have rain, it always gets dewy in the morning. Always bring a rain layer. Hypothermia is one of the most common ways to get rescued outdoors or die. So, you know, just bring this. What? Oh, the rain's gonna keep going for an hour. That is a very good segue because I was just coming back to tell you to keep checking the forecast.
You're not just checking the forecast for rain or wind or things that could affect your camping experience, you're checking it for safety and regulations. In particular, fire updates. Especially if you're in a state park or national forest, the website will always have updated statuses on the wind and risk of running fires. Even if one day you can have a fire, the next day it may not be safe, so always check. The only thing you should be burning is marshmallows. And to keep those marshmallows and all your other snacks and delights safe from critters, get a container that seals. This is a bear bin that I love. It is honestly even hard for me to open sometimes, but it's so worth it, and I honestly can't believe it took me this long to buy one.
The advantage over the Bear Vault, over the sack, but with the Bear Vault, you can have a chair.
And if you can, it's really gonna make your camping trip go from good to great when you have a waterproof bin to keep all your gear in. You don't need a Pelican like this, but you do need something. Almost as badly as you need this, a good camp or bush crafting knife. And this is one of the best.
This is honestly one of the best knives. Like, they never break. I actually really wanted to bring this on naked and afraid, but I didn't for obvious reasons. This one knife, I swear to God, you can split wood with it. This knife is by far one of the best things I've ever purchased. And you don't need to get the same one. It's a Mora. It's super affordable and super high quality, but you do need a knife, not just for food or, you know, duct tape repairs. Sorry, there's a squirrel over there. Okay, now that lunch is over. You can also use it to baton wood, which is one of the best camping tricks you're gonna see in just a moment at the end of the video. And again, links for this and everything I love is in the description below.
When I started doing solo trips, this knife also helped me feel more safe and more comfortable on my own. And comfort is something we often overlook when it comes to the outdoors, which is why this tip is all about bringing yourself something that makes you feel more cozy, more homey, more joyful during your special time outdoors. And that will be a different item for everybody.
Oh, wow, my back just cracked. For me, it's usually yoga mat and a journal and a book. Maybe some art supplies. Oh, maybe some fishing gear if there's fishing. Just like anything that helps you be here a little longer, because the whole joy of being in nature is connecting to yourself, your environment, and all the living beings that share that space. Okay, it's raining again, I gotta go. Here's one more tip: if you're filming yourself and it starts raining, remember to close your tent. I believe there's no bad weather, there's only bad gear. And if you're following these tips, you should be prepared with a rain layer, and you should also be prepared with one of these guys. They shed a little light on things. I love these because they're solar powered. You can also see the battery there. And they have this size, they have the smaller size.
And believe it or not, there's a little hack you can do with a white grocery bag and your headlamp if you don't have a frosted light. You would just turn on your headlamp like a normal headlamp and then put a bag over it so it refracts the light.
One more note on these, definitely get the frosted ones like this. They have clear ones, and to be honest, it's just like having unfiltered LEDs in nature, and it's horrible. It's so horrible.
Almost as horrible as not having comfy things like Crocs to slip on when you're not wearing shoes. Even when I'm trying to be ultralight doing multi-day trips, I will still bring slip-ons like these.
And don't worry, a campground is the one place you probably won't be judged for wearing Crocs. I mean, at the very least, I'll be wearing Crocs too, and mine are bright yellow like a banana.
And these last few tips are the things that are truly gonna make your trip great and make you look like a pro while you're out there. Once you get past the basics, the difference between good and great camping really comes down to a few things. Comfort, ease of use, particularly ease of packing, like you can see with this chair here, and doing the things that just scream camping to you. And whether you're here to hike, fish, or just read a book, everybody loves a campfire. And I'm gonna show you how to make one like an absolute pro, doing a trick I bet you didn't know. But before that, I just want to remind you to meet the needs of your body. This chair might be silly for other people, but for me with chronic back pain, it's a non-negotiable. Almost as non-negotiable as being able to make a badass, satisfying campfire. And you often get big pieces of wood like this, whether you're car camping or in the wild. And one of the best ways to get nice dry kindling is batoning, which you can see me doing here with my Mora knife. I told you that thing was tough. But don't worry, whether you are completely new to making fire and camping or you're a survivalist like me, you can watch this video here to make a fire like a pro for literally every single level. It'll make you feel like a badass, and more importantly, it'll help you be more confident and have more fun outdoors.